The Sons of Antiquity present The Hot Take Show. Today's episode,
the Anti-Grooming Bill.
Dan, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why are you gay?
I ask myself that all the time. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Zers and Zs, to the Hot Take Show. It's your boy, Dan.
It's Evan.
And today, we're talking about the Parental Rights and Education Bill, otherwise known as...
No habla homosexual.
So what's in this bill? What's the deal with it? It's a bill that's being pushed by Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida and their state legislature, and it's designed to prevent teachers statewide from discussing gender identity or sexual orientation with children younger than 4th grade. As a result of this bill and its popularity and it's being put through the news cycle, Louisiana, Texas, Ohio, and many other states are considering similar bills.
Has the bill passed?
Oh, yeah, it's passed. And so now in only 49 states can you groom kids before 4th grade.
Well, hold on a minute now. Snopes is going to fact check us.
I wish, if only.
So it leads us to ask, why did they feel this was necessary? Is it necessary?
Well, I think so. I certainly think so. I think we've let it go way too far already with all of the lackadaisical things that are going on in public education. I mean, Drag Queen Story Hour at first seemed like a big deal, and now we realize it's really the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they're releasing this bill for a reason. At the very worst, this bill is useless. That's the very worst thing it can be. Just like, oh, we didn't need that, but like when people tried to get it passed, you can't have jihad in America. Mm-hmm. Okay, probably didn't need to pass that for now, but
yeah, just
good.
In case some jihad sneaks in, you want to be prepared, right?
Allahu Akbar!
If there's nothing to worry about, if there is no grooming in public education, if there is no inappropriate talking between teachers and students, then we don't have to worry about it, right?
Well, that's what we might say, but they loudly disagree. So let's go over the outrage that's not just from the far left, but the regular moderate left and many centrists, and about every news outlet that isn't Fox News. What are the reasons they're giving for this bill being such a monstrosity?
Well, they're saying that it's going to further marginalize already disadvantaged groups like the LGBTQ community, lesbians. They're really worried about the queer kindergartners. We have to protect the queer kindergartners.
It's very important. There's so many of them. And it's definitely natural. It's not like they're, let's say, influenced to be that way.
Oh, no, certainly not.
They know it from the time they can talk forward. We know it. We know they're trans or gay.
I know it. Everybody knows it.
You are gay.
Yeah, that's what they think. They want to push this idea that these kids are coming to these conclusions by themselves. But that's simply false. If that were the case, then we would see that throughout all of history. Like when we were in school, we would have seen it. And that's not the case. Kids are not naturally like that. If they were, the human race would have died out long ago.
Gay!
Another point of contention, which I think is funny in context, considering who it's coming from, but many say that it's a violation of the First Amendment.
Do tell.
It's saying you shouldn't be allowed to tell people in the public sector what they can and can't say.
So they're saying that you can't tell the teachers what they can and can't say to students?
Exactly, and you can't control what the students will say, which functionally is just wrong, because there's plenty of things that teachers can get fired for saying.
I said, whoever threw that paper, your mom's a hoe.
If a teacher just came up and taught everybody, all the kids, about how great Hitler was, that they would face repercussions.
Or taught kindergartners curse words, or showed them something inappropriate. Look at how many permission slips you need to watch a movie that's not rated G in school. That's okay, that we can require those permission slips there. But then turn around and say, but it's perfectly okay for these teachers to tell the kids all about their sex life, all about who they're married to, all these alternative lifestyles that are a relatively very, very small percentage of the population that engage in those.
Yet it's growing.
Yeah, and I can't remember who was on Facebook who said this, but with regards to the liberal outrage over this, they said there's really no such thing as homosexual kids, right? If you're trying to protect the marginalized kids, the homosexual kids, there's no such thing, because there's no such thing as sexual kids.
There shouldn't be.
There shouldn't be. If you think there should be, you need to get your head examined, or you probably need to be locked away.
I thought you were going to say something about head examined or head removed, but that was a perfect opportunity.
No exceptions.
Well, It's like, do I want to get kicked off of YouTube, and how fast? I mean, if I wanted to get kicked off fast, that's what I would say, because that's what I believe. I mean, come on, guys. Let's be real here. I have no tolerance for pedos, and I'll leave it at that.
Y'all stay deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
So after the initial fallout, liberals pressured Disney to condemn the bill even more than they were already condemning it. And they eventually did, despite a bunch of walkouts and angry gay people at Disney. All this from Disney prompted DeSantis to propose that Disney World's protected status in Florida be re-examined. And lots of people say, oh, now you're blackmailing people who disagree with you. It's just kind of weird, the setup at Disney World, how they're exempt from government influence of the state they live in.
Yes, like you mentioned earlier before the show, they're getting preferential treatment from the government. And so because they're getting that preferential treatment, it comes with certain conditions. And they are starting to push the boundaries of that. And so I think it's perfectly legitimate for them to re-examine that. I mean, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, as they say.
So is this about grooming or indoctrination, as the conservatives say? Is it both? Is it neither? Does nobody know what they're talking about?
Yes, no one knows what they're talking about, not even us. But this is the Hot Take Show. It's our show, so we can say what we want.
You can now officially shut up.
Here's what I believe. I think it's about both. Mostly it's about indoctrination. If you create a setup where you are trying to indoctrinate kids with this tactic of focusing on sexuality at a young age, that's going to become a breeding ground for the type of grooming that we have seen. And as we know, as statistics show, teachers having sex with kids is a pretty common thing. More common than people are willing to admit.
More common than priests doing it. By the way, nobody talks about it, but a higher percentage of public school teachers do that to kids than priests do. So eat it.
So yes, but the long-term goal here is indoctrination, because if you can start them young, if you can get the youth to not identify with their parents and their values and get them to identify with a different set of values, you've got them.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's more about indoctrination. But think about how weird it is that you feel such an inclination as an elementary school teacher to tell the kids about your personal romantic life. Back when we were in school, I didn't even know if my teachers were married most of the time. They didn't talk about it. In fact, I had one teacher that turned out to be a lesbian, but I didn't know it until way after the fact, because she wasn't just flaunting her, preferences. That's how it should be. They're little kids here. They don't need to know your personal life.
Exactly, and generally they don't even care. When we were coming up in school, we didn't even know that the teachers left the classroom. That we didn't imagine that they had lives outside the classroom. They were just our teachers.
Even if you're just complaining about your husband, it's weird.
Yeah, save it for your coworkers.
Or the shrink.
Closer.
Now, I guess since we've settled this issue and our audience agrees with us 100%, I know, the real question is, did this law go far enough?
No.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that.
Do you want that to be the end?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
And now, a special public service announcement from Evan.
Parents and prospective parents who are listening, please take this moment to reconsider sending your kids to public school, because we've seen what a reaction this gets, meaning this is what they're currently doing, at least in Florida, which is not a liberal state, by the way. It's a swing state. Could go either way, like many of the teachers. So if this is how things are in a state run by a Republican governor, imagine what it's like in your state. Maybe you live in a left-leaning state or a moderate state. This might be what's happening to your kids at school. And when they come home and start speaking about these things you've never heard before and all this weird stuff about sexuality, and all of a sudden they're questioning you on liberal talking points, maybe you ought to send them to a private school if you can afford it, or just homeschool, because anything is better than that.